Hello, beautifuls. We are almost to the new moon in Cancer. I'm recording this during Cancer season. That is July of 2026. And we are in a retrograde. So they say that like on a new moon, that's the time to like set your goals for like the next 15 days to the next 6 months. And they say that during a retrograde, don't start anything new. So I'm going to tell you how that works if you're curious. Are you curious? So I bet a lot of Cancers, now this message, whenever it reaches you, you might find wisdom in it. Just because it's about what's going on currently astrologically. Just remember, you know, stars and planets and all that jazz that we talk about, they're light years away. So like, and time is relative. So don't knock it if it comes to you at a different time than you're expecting. Cancer, I'm going to speak to you. Capricorns, I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to speak a lot about Cancer and Capricorn energy because that's what we're dealing with right now. We're on this axis. The Earth planet's ego is in the place of Capricorn right now. And the ego is like basically like what we appear to be like trying to be. And then we have the sun is actually in Cancer. So Earth is in Capricorn, Sun is in Cancer. These are polar opposite type energies, but they have things in common. Opposites always do have something in common. And the purpose of polar opposites, the purpose of opposites is to solve the paradox and see how these things work together. Some people refer to like Cancerian as like feminine energy and Capricorn as like masculine energy. Some people think of it as like yin energy and yang energy. Cancer would be more yin. Capricorn would be more yang. Some think of it as more internal and receptive and bringing in and pulling in. And some think of it as more external. Capricorn, so that would be Cancer. And Capricorn would be more external and outward and pushing out. Cancer in the tarot deck is often the cards that have like, if you see images of like water and earth, it's like a kind of a combination of that. So that's a really big theme that we have going on in multiple planets, not just the constellation of Cancer. We have multiple other astrological transits right now that are dealing with like earthy, watery type energy. Capricorn is earth. So we've got Cancer, which is water, Capricorn's earth. So we've got this axis. Capricorn is like build, build, build. For our generation, our entire lives up until 2026, and our grandparents, our parents, our great-grandparents, many lineages for like the last 260 some odd years have been in this, we must build to grow, we must make towers that reach the sky. And when you look at that archetypical story of like build, build, build and the towers and all of this, there can be a lot of like the Tower of Babel, first thing that comes to mind. There can be a point in time where there's misunderstandings and people don't really understand, and maybe they use the same words but they mean different things by the same words. It comes a point where that happens and then it all comes coming back down. And so this year that energy has changed from build, 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 build. That's the Capricorn energy, which was Pluto. Pluto rules our power. It rules our past lives and our karma. So Pluto has been in this place for 260 some odd years, where it's basically been like our karma has been all revolved around building, 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 and making and growing and making things big on earth. Almost like as if it's got the intent to reach heaven. Like if you do enough of the good things on earth, you will reach the heavens. Build that tower that's so high up in the sky that you feel like you're in heaven. And that's the equivalent of heaven. So we've moved from that type of an energy to Aquarius now, where our karma now is completely different. It's a totally different playbook. So when it used to be like do whatever you can to make the biggest, the best, yada yada reality in the world with material gain. When the dominant cultures and the dominant societies and the dominant, those who like were the multitudes of Earth, were like having karma around that whole thing, you know, like, and karma would be like the things that just keep coming up. Maybe like it was the foundation that it was built on a grave site, or maybe there was like a piece of wood that was missing in the foundation, and like it comes to a point at some point in time where you have to build differently around that particular part of the structure, whatever. This is all metaphor, but in your life, it's like what you've been building for. A lot of people are finding that it all comes crashing down. It all started, you know, like the realization that it was all crashing down it was starting to crash down leading up to 2026, and now they find themselves in a whole new world. Aquarius is not the building the tower from the mud of the earth up to the skies. Aquarius is the star in outer space that has come down to earth to land. Totally different vibe. And this is what our karma is now. It's that what we know beyond our human experience, what we know beyond even our cellular memory. Our cellular memory is a lot of what Cancer is about. It's about touching those Akashic records from planet Earth. It's about like knowing and understanding and remembering the past and realizing the past and not forgetting it and passing down valuable information to the next generation. That's Cancerian energy. But we're in the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is about where do I belong? So you got this star from outer space that's landed on the earth, and it's like, where do I belong? Well, you're on planet Earth. It's wherever, but you're going to find a lot of the karma has now to do with equity, equality, fairness. What's fair? What's the give and take? What's the balance between that internal energy versus that external energy? That Cancerian energy of like feel and stay secure and stay safe in the crab shell, versus that Capricorn energy, which is like get out there and make the money and build the tower. The towers, a lot of the towers are come crashing down, and people are in this place of like, Cancer cares so much about security. A lot of us are incredibly psychic right now. And the purpose of that isn't so that we can take like every message and like run with it necessarily. It's when things are super psychic, and things are so psychic right now, like I know when someone's going to text me literally like the moment they're texting me or right before. A lot of us have that capability, and we've learned to like kind of block it or get it to work with our normal muggle everyday earthly life. But during this time of year right now, it's harder to do that because it feels like things have slowed down, and it's just easier for like messages to be channeled through us that are psychic, those water signs, people with a lot of water in their chart. It's just easier to like all of it. So it's about not losing track of our North Star, but taking a moment. We're in the year of the horse, and things have been moving very quickly, and you've been on a ride for like 6 months on a very fast horse, and now things are slowing down, and you're going to start feeling kind of sore. You know, like you're on a little bit of a respite, and it's time for some rest, and you're like kind of feeling like physical things in the body might be coming up, because Chiron just moved into Taurus too, and Chiron is the wounded healer. So it shows us like no matter what, like the reason why Chiron is a wounded healer is because that's what keeps us learning more and more about how to heal. Because like, let's say, for example, we went to school in the 50s, and then we decided, okay, everything I learned here, that's it. That's all there is to know. So this is how I'm going to practice my healing craft and my art and my medicine from here on out. I don't need any more education. And science in the meantime is like discovering new things. And we're just like, nope, nope, nope. I already went to school. I don't need to know anything else. This is just how it is. That's very Taurus. And that's very like, I've already decided it's like this. And like, that could be like, you know, the purpose of Chiron, the archetype of Chiron being constantly wounded, is to keep us in this place to be like, okay, well, this worked before, but now the map has changed. We're in a different place and space and time. So now this works. Like there was a time for 2 or 3 years where I let myself dance as much as I wanted, as freely as I wanted, and I had a community that supported that, and I'd always wanted something like that secretly, and I let myself have it, and I experienced so much healing. And then there was a time where like that no longer worked. That became less pure. And then there was a time where I got very injured and I wasn't allowed to move my body at all because I was just so injured. I couldn't like, and I had been an athlete. So then I had to let my body get bigger, and I had to learn how to like find healing in stillness. And so there are a lot of different paths to healing and feeling better. And it's not just one way, and there's just not one way to look at things. So Chiron, which is the wounded healer archetype, being in Taurus, is going to bring up all this stuff from the past that we were afraid of. Maybe we were kids that didn't have a lot of money growing up, and we were like, oh my God, where are we going to get our next meal from? Or, oh, we can't, you know, how are we going to go to the school that we really want to if we don't get that scholarship? Or how are we going to get that scholarship if they stole my art piece and I have no way to prove that I did this art? You know, whatever it is, like this stuff from the past is going to come up for review. And then there's almost like this temptation, like, are you going to be afraid of it? Are you afraid? Are you going to let it scare you? And it's going to feel very real. It's in Taurus. It's like, I went to the grocery store today. I looked at prices online. I didn't like go to the grocery store physically. Like we're in the age of Aquarius. Who does that, right? I went online to look at some prices at a grocery store before deciding like if I wanted to purchase certain things and what I want the meals to be for this weekend. Things were twice the price. Chiron is about that fear. Like those times in my life where I had to make a box of Bisquics last for 3 months to get through like a Chicago blizzard whirlwind of a storm that I like couldn't get out of much, you know, like those times, like, did those times scare me? Am I scared of those times now? Would I be scared if that happened again? That's what it's asking, you know? And for you, that story might be something different. Maybe something just came up for you just now. Like maybe for you, it happened, like for me, that happened in my teen years when I was on my own, but for you, it might've happened when you were even younger, you know, like, or older, but like, there's going to be times in the past where you didn't have what you needed. And you're going to be afraid that that's going to happen again. And it's fear. And fear is how I fall. And it's how we confuse what is real. That's like the lines to this song that I've been singing lately. And Chiron is the archetype, like, these wounds won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real. There's just so much that time cannot erase. And then she goes into say, like, how when we cry, we can be there for each other to wipe each other's tears away, and we can be there for each other. Aquarius is about being there for each other. And that's going to be a big thing that I'm going to talk about right now. Cancers, you know, we've got these crab shells, but then there comes a point in time where we just need to say like, hey, I need you here. Like, I really need you here. And I'm going to let you in my crab shell if you show up. And I'm going to make sure, you know, that you're safe and you got a place to sleep. And like, you're going to be cool. If you can get here, I need you here. You know, Capricorn, you too. Capricorn, you've always been like, you check in as if you're checking in to make sure everybody else is okay. Like you're the rock and you're the one who's got it all under control. Capricorn, now it's time for you to be checking in to be like, hey, I got this thing going on, and can you, you know, I need this. Can you do this for me? And the thing that's hard about this is that when we're not used to asking other people to be there for us, we might not be there for them to be there for us. Like, I was asked to show up for somebody that was going to be in court and like show up afterwards, and they were going to be going through a hard thing. And it was like a hard thing that I've been through before, that I've had to go through pretty alone. And a lot of people didn't know that I went through it when I went through it. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to show up to be there for that person when they're going through that. I showed up, and it went late, but like nobody told me. So I'm just like at the place, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should get a table and hold it. I don't know if it's not happening. I haven't heard anything. And like a whole hour went by. So it's like, there's that fear of falling. There's going to be a lot of fear coming up during this time of Cancer retrograde, when we're looking at the past and like we're dealing with things from the past, whether it's court cases, whether it's lineage stuff, whether it's our kids, whether it's our family, whether it's exes, whatever it is, there's going to be these things, and it's going to bring up fear in us. And if we are evolved enough to recognize, to take the message of, this is a time of Aquarius, and we need to know where we belong, and we need to let those who we care about know that we are willing for them to belong to us. And hopefully we've done the work on like accountability and repair and stuff like that to be able to have healthy relationships. But it's that time where we could say it and like not be that good at acting it, because it's all new. It's just brand new. It's the beginning of the next 260 some odd years of this like thing. Kind of like when I'm recording this right now, I'm in July of 2026, but you might get this message 6 months from now, and you've already had some of the things from this month take fruition and begin to grow. They say that new moon is a time to plant seeds and start goals and stuff like that, but they also say like, don't do it during a retrograde. They say like, don't start new things during a retrograde. Well, a retrograde new moon is a really good time to restart the things that you have already had going on. So maybe they say like, it's not the best time for a new relationship to begin during like a retrograde. But if it's maybe your grandma or your grandpa's friend, like dear friend's child or grandchild, and you're meeting them, and they all knew each other when they were young, and now you're meeting like the next generation, this might be a very fated time for you to be meeting these people that were tied to your lineage, because it's Cancer season with a new moon in the age of Aquarius, which has to do with belonging, and during a retrograde. So this is the time. This is the time to be going through like past journals of your own and your family. The wounded healer is going to tell us that we can't have these things. There's these things that we're afraid that we're not going to have, or that we're going to lose, or it's going to bring up the pain of all the things that we didn't have that we felt like we needed to have. During Cancer season, that's especially going to have to do with mothering. Now, mothering is a role. It's our mothers, our human mothers, our bio mothers are human beings, and they are full dynamic human beings outside of their role as their mother to us. And every human that exists feels like they needed more or less from their mother. And some of us have major heartache and pain, like Chiron, that like just stays with us through like our lives in regards to like the mother stuff. And that's part of our karma. And some of us, like Cancers or people who have Cancer in their chart in a prominent placement, like I have Cancer in a high degree, very high degree, and it's square Jupiter, and it's in Saturn, in a very hard, a heavy place for it to be. And so it means that my test in life has been on everything that has to do with of a Cancerian nature. And I've had to do like a lot of like mother healing. And what I've learned with mother healing stuff, you know, like there's so much out there in the world. Like, There's like a mother that almost lost her life when she gave birth to a child, so she hated that child. But she didn't know how to love a child that would risk her own survival, because she came from a family of immigrants where they had to disconnect and they had to detach, and it was such a huge family, and she was very, very outnumbered by 9 siblings that were boys, and maybe only like 1 or 2 other girls. So like there is that, you know, and like, so in turn she ends up having a daughter that almost kills her just from being born, and like, or unalives her almost, but she doesn't, but she can't love that daughter. And then that person grows up and has a daughter, and they don't know what to do and how, but that particular soul ended up being somebody who really wanted their freedom. So like this mother stuff, it's like goes like all the way back through the Akashic records, and Cancer has so much to do with like the mother stuff. This is like, and receptive stuff. And what I have to say about this, I mean, in the age of Aquarius, it's a lot of people during the age of Capricorn, when Pluto was in Capricorn, and it was build, 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 build. And we were actually, technically, it wasn't called the age of Capricorn, it's called the age of Pisces. But we were sacrificing ourselves to just do whatever we could on this planet. Kind of like when immigrants, you know, come to a new land, they like are willing to die to like build upon that land, right? Like just sacrificing the self. That age is over. Now we can recognize that I know it sounds so abstract, but we can recognize that we can be our own mothers inside of ourselves. We can just as much be our own mothers inside of ourselves as our actual bio mothers were, or as any other human being could be, which wouldn't be the same as our bio mothers. It's all different. But mother is literally like a concept and a role. And it's a role that we have been conditioned to believe that we need. And okay, maybe we do. And we can do that for ourselves. Mother's Day can be like a second birthday to us. We can live it up on Mother's Day. We could do that on Father's Day too. So that would be Capricorn type energy. But yeah, there's a lot of people are going to be somatizing the physical pain. They're going to be feeling the physical pain in their bodies. Soma means body. And they're going to be feeling that because it's been a really fast year. And now it's a time of like slowing down. And Taurus rules the body too. So what do we do with that other than like think about it differently or feel it differently or choose to? How do we step out of the attachments to these fears of pain? A lot, I'm going to move on to more earth energies too, but what do we do during this time? We go through old journals. We treat all of these old journals as like, look how far we've come. We praise all the beautiful good things, from the simple flowers in our garden to the beautiful starry sky to the bird song in the morning that's developing every morning, and it's becoming more beautiful to hear, or it's becoming longer, or it's changing and developing. We take witness. We recognize, especially those of us with Cancer energy and Cancer charts, this is the time to bear witness. And it's not just the time to bear witness of our own blood relatives, it's our own chosen family as well. And everything around us, just taking a commitment to really recognize what is good and what is working. It is normal, like all these intense feelings that are probably coming up for a lot of Cancerians, and Capricorn's so uncomfortable. So I'm going to move to Capricorn now, because Capricorn is the shadow of Cancer. Capricorns, I just know. I can feel it. I just know. Capricorns are super uncomfortable right now. Like it feels like everything that's been built up is like coming back down. And it's coming back down because more balance is needed and more fairness is needed. Capricorns, you haven't had it fair all this time. It's been like push, push, push and showing up to see what other people need. But now it's going to be time to be like checking in because you need something. and letting yourself be vulnerable and letting people show up for you and what you need. It's an honor to show up for people and what they need. It's an honor to be trusted. And Capricorns can be so dependable. So if a dependable person comes to you because they can see that you've like done a lot to work on concepts of accountability and repair, if a Capricorn's come to you to be there for them through a vulnerable thing and you get to do that, you're gonna feel so freaking honored. Like, yeah, sometimes Capricorns, you're gonna ask people to be there for you that can't be there for you. Part of success is failure. You're gonna feel like you failed in choosing that person. You gotta keep moving on. You know how to be persistent. You gotta keep asking until the people that are right show up. You'd be surprised the way people can show up in a non-transactional way for you. You'd be surprised the way the people that are around you are in more mirrors of you than you probably ever realized. So yeah, reach out, Capricorn. You're not used to navigating all these emotions the way us, like with Cancer or Cancer suns are, or those of us with like high Cancer placements are like constantly living in like the emotional field, or us water signs. You're not used to like navigating it to this depth. You've always been able to like hold it in better, you know, like when you're out in public and you can hold it in till you get into your own front door and then you can like let it out. Similar to like Cancers, right? But like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot right now. And there's going to be a big temptation to be afraid. And that's Chiron. Chiron has changed its degree. It's going to feel like you're not going to be able to afford anything anymore. How are you going to do this? You don't know what's coming next. How are you going to do that? Like, you're just trying to get your footing. You feel like you've worked so hard just to get grounded, and then this thing happens. And what now? Will it ever? But it's all happening. I know it sounds so wild, but it sounds. I don't want to come off gaslighty either, because I'm not one of those people that's like, it's happening for you, not to you. I can't stand it when people try to gaslight the emotional experience that people are having. And instead of showing empathy and being like, that's really hard and you're not alone and we're here and we care and what do you need as you go through this? People will be like, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. I'm like, do you tell a baby who's learning to walk? Like, because we're all like walking each other home. Do you tell a baby when they fall, do you say, okay, baby, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you? No, you don't. Like, you have like different ways of like showing, you know, there's different ways of showing support than like that kind of gaslighty crap. Anyway, you know, you either like clap because you're like, yay, you know, that was a long time, like a lot longer than you walked that time before you fell. Or, yay, you fell, so that means that you're like, you know, failure equals success eventually. Yay, you know, or like, you're okay, yay, you know, whatever. Like, whatever it is that you do with like, maybe you don't say yay because you're like, how you doing? You okay? I know, like some people will be like, oh my God, and the kid will be like, ah! But, there's so many other ways than to just be like, it's happening for you. But it is whatever is happening so that things can be more fair. In general, things need to be fair, and karma is acting in a way that is trying to balance the scale and make things more fair and equitable so that more people have access, including yourself. Capricorns might be feeling a lot happening like in the heart chakra with somatization. Like soma means body, and like feeling like in the body pain, and that could be from the grief of like Chiron and Taurus, all the times that it felt like we didn't quite have the thing that we needed. Some of us might have had so much that we didn't even realize that we didn't have what we needed. Like, we might have had it all. We might have had like the most supportive parents, and we might have had like a nice home and everything. Like, we might have had it all and then not realize, like, but it was this thing, like this other thing, like there was something else that we didn't have that we needed. And we don't feel like it's okay to even recognize that. And this month of July is a time where like it might be profound, but you might be like, oh, I don't know how to get this thing because I've never had this thing, or I've never been told that it's okay to have this thing, or I've been told that just the opposite of this thing should be occurring, or whatever it was. You know, maybe it was that you wanted to be a modern dancer, but your parent wanted you to be an athlete of a particular sport and you went in that direction. You know, both of the things are physical, but one of the things is more like creative and the other thing is more like, one of the things is more like internal out and one of the things is more like external in. And you just ended up on a different path because of being influenced. And I would urge you that if you find yourself in this place where you're feeling like there's some failure, or you're not as far along as you want to be, and it feels like so many things are falling down all around you, and you're like, how am I ever going to get there now? I would urge you, like, reach out to others, really pay attention to where you feel like you belong, and test out imagining belonging where you would want to be regardless of what the circumstances are. And then the most important part is know that things are rearranging itself to your advantage. When things are rearranging, you can be part of that rearranging and make it to be part of your advantage. So Capricorns, you know, the questions to be asking right now is like, how can I have this in a way that would be fair and just and truthful? And where can I take accountability and offer repair? You'd be surprised what people can forgive. You'd be blown away. But like honesty, accountability, repair, all those things, those values that are part of like Aquarius, truth, all of that is going to get you so far. So it's about like, how can I be honest about this? How can I be truthful about this? How can I be fair about this? And what is it that I want for myself? What is it that I can't even envision because I never even saw anybody having that? We tend to, so for both Cancer and Capricorn, it's, you know, a time of delving into the past. It's a retrograde, and Cancer is all about the past too. So there's that. And we're coming out of a Jupiter in Cancer, which magnifies. So a lot of us will think like, all my life, like, let's say we had a parent that was living it up on an island and like they had the works, but they like weren't in our life. And then we like make friends with somebody who happens to live that wonderful, beautiful island life. And we're kind of jealous and we're like, they think it's so easy, but that's because they grew up with this. And like, I didn't grow up with this. So I wouldn't even know what it's like to like have this, let alone get this for myself now. Those kinds of thoughts or feelings could be coming up. Like, it's never been that way for me, kind of thoughts and feelings. And so it could never be that way for me. It must be nice that it's that way for you. And those kinds of thoughts and feelings not only take us away from ourselves, but it takes us away from the others who are in our lives, that they're in our lives to help us get what it is that we want for ourselves. Maybe we wanted that, you know, Storybrooke style village on a coast to live in, to like have our like little dreams come true, and maybe we wanted that and we're like hurting still about not having had it, to the point where we're not like letting it in. So it's like so important, like just I'm encouraging myself and everyone to be like looking at literature on repair and accountability and repair. This is like a big part of Aquarius, Pluto, like the age of Aquarius. Okay, so whose fault is it that that didn't happen? Does that even matter whose fault it is? Once we get past that point, because it doesn't matter, it still doesn't change what we had and didn't have. We're not going to go back in time. We're going to give ourselves what we want now, right here, right now. So like, what is it that we want right here, right now? Do we even want that anymore? And opening up, like, you know, putting our head up and opening ourselves up to the realization, like, it's up to me to have it right here and right now. And during July, it might not feel like we can give it to ourselves. You know, when you combine earth and water, it feels like mud and quicksand. A lot of us are really tired and having like extra naps, maybe even. And like, it might not feel like we can get that now. It's kind of like when you get your chance to like travel, but something sad happened and you're like, how am I supposed to travel and see all these new things and appreciate these new things when I'm carrying this burden of this grief? But having done it anyway, even though you're dragging through the mud, it's not going to change the fact that you did it. You'll still have those memories. Even though those memories you were carrying pain, your memories aren't going to carry the same pain as you did when you were in the experience, carrying the grief through the experience. You're going to remember like when you had $120 to your name and you decided to use it to start a new life on the other side of the country, and you took a bus and you saw the sun rising over like epic desert mountains for the first time like ever in your adult life while you were completely on your own. You're going to remember that moment. You're going to remember this moment where you're like, I have angels up my ass right now. Like I've always had angels all around me. Like that, you're going to remember these peak moments where like the grief kind of blew aside like fog for a moment, and those are going to be the things that you're going to carry with you if you can find the strength to get through the quicksand of the emotion of like the material plane and the emotions, which feel like quicksand. If you can do that, this goes for like, especially for Cancer, Capricorn, Gemini, who have a lot of Taurus in their chart, Taurus, and even Pisces. If you can, and maybe anybody else, you know, like just because your sun sign's not one of those things doesn't mean you don't have those things in your chart. So if you're resonating with this, you probably have some of these aspects in your chart that's pointing to this, but you're going to remember, and this month is a time to just kind of rest as much as you can and reflect and look back. But you're looking back with the intention of what worked. It's not looking back like you're sitting in a dark, dingy bar on a Saturday and it's sun shining outside and you could be someplace nice and you're just talking about the same old problem that you've been talking about your whole life and getting pooped face until you're flat on your face in the parking lot. This isn't that kind of review. This isn't the ruminating review. This is the review of like, what worked? What did I really like? Okay, like maybe mom hated you, but maybe mom hated you only sometimes, but there were moments when you were together and you enjoyed doing this thing. Do you still enjoy doing that with yourself, by yourself, with others? Boom, that's something for you. If you want to watch old movies, watch the old movies that have people experiencing the things that you want to experience in your life. So, like a lot of us will have a life that's very much determined by what we saw growing up. So if we saw people having fancy old cars that they took care of and they kept alive, we're likely to have an old car that we're trying to keep keep around to take care of. We're likely to be a person who wants that because that's what we're conditioned to think is valuable, right? Well, you can condition yourself to see other things that seem interesting or exciting as valuable. You can do that by watching films where people have had these things and done these things, and you can do that for yourself, and they've already aired. So that's another way of going through the archives of the past. I think I said I was going to talk about, okay, so I've gone on and on, but a lot of what I'm saying applies to Gemini and Pisces too, and Taurus. The only thing is, like, Gemini's air, but air sometimes has a lot of earth in their chart. I just want to say, like, a lot of us, because so much has been rearranged in 2026, because karma has changed from, like, you're supposed to have the house and the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the tower and the business and the career, and a lot of things have changed from that Capricornian type, like, goal structure karma, to now this Aquarius type structure where it's all about groups. It's all about checking in on people that might not get checked in on enough, and caring about each other and showing up for each other and being there for each other and being fair, and accepting people that are different. Aquarius, a big thing that will be that will bring an abundance of what you want for yourselves during this age of Aquarius, is accepting people that are very different, that seem very different. Whether that's the fat person, whether it's the person that's not used to being fat, like me. Like, maybe it's the person who's more brown. Maybe it's the person who has a different accent. Maybe it's the person who comes from a different place. Maybe it's the person who like doesn't have family and they like really do it all on their own, or they're really like, you know, they don't care what other people think. Maybe it's the person who thinks different. It's about embracing the people that are different and finding the similarities and finding ways to accept each other in moving forward. That is what's going to really like make life good. That's what's going to get us from, that's what A plus B equals C is now. It's not what it used to be. It's not about just focusing on the career and building businesses and all of that jazz. It's about really relating to each other as human beings and being fair. And just know that if you start to feel afraid and you reach out to feel less afraid, do it with the intention of feeling less afraid. And if you do that to your brothers, your sisters of humanity, and you don't get what you need, that's okay, because it takes failure to get to success. So then you try again. Maybe you're reaching out to somebody who's unavailable because that's all you know, because the main people in your life were unavailable. Maybe you're reaching out to somebody who's busy reaching out to a bunch of unavailable people because they were only knew unavailability, and they think that vapid, shallow availability is all like gonna get them there. And maybe you're like trying to have depth, or maybe they just belong in a totally different element than you too. Like, so, but don't give up. Don't give up on trying to relate to each other as humans. So I guess that's like what I got to say. If you start anything new during retrograde, it's likely going to be the thing that's already been going on. If it's a new relationship, it's probably grandma or grandpa's kid or grandkid that like you're just meeting. So it's like, it's not really new because it's been part of your lineage. Or if you're starting a new project, it's probably not really a new project. You've probably had it on the back burner for quite some time, and you just have this time and space now to get it started. If you've got exes coming back from the past, it's probably to resolve things that they feel like were unresolved, or because they were planning on coming back all along. And that's for you to decide whether or not you're gonna have a little doodad with them or not. But the purpose of looking at the past is to see what was good and what was good that you want to utilize to take forward. It's not, if looking at the past is going to hurt, if someone in the past wounded you, but you've forgotten them, like you've forgiven them, but like, and you've forgiven yourself for whatever your part was or whatever. If that comes back and it's like, hey, I've changed, like it would be such a waste to spend such a powerful month of retrograde and Cancerian energy on something that, use it wisely. Use this time and this energy wisely. Don't waste it on silliness. Like, apply it in a way that is going to best serve you and best serve fairness. And yeah, okay. Cheers.